I can still feel the pulse in my throat, sharp and rapid, as though my entire body were trying to escape the shell of my skin. I stood at the edge of the square, heart pounding, as the giant screen above me flickered to life with my own face. Marisol. Grant in crisp, roaring color. A week ago, I thought our marriage was unbreakable. We had spent our first anniversary entwined on a rooftop terrace overlooking the city skyline in London, sipping champagne and toasting to our future. I'd never felt so alive, so seen. That night had cemented every promise we whispered to each other beneath the fairy lights. But this morning, on our second anniversary, I woke up alone in the empty apartment we'd once shared. No note, no message, no forwarding address, just the stale scent of his cologne lingering in the air, mocking me. I spent every hour since dawn retracing my memories, every laugh, every argument, every promise unfulfilled. My phone lay silent. My texts to him were delivered, but never read. I walked the Saatchi Gallery in a daze, staring at canvases of abstract turmoil without seeing a single brushstroke. I sat in Hyde Park for hours, the summer breeze doing nothing to soothe the storm inside me. That it was only when I stopped in the square near Piccadilly Circus, drawn by a thrumming crowd, that I realized something impossible had happened. The giant LED billboard, the one that usually advertised the latest luxury watch or blockbuster film, was showing me. My face cropped, just at the shoulders, eyes glinting with a fierce determination I hardly recognized filled the screen. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Some marketing stunt gone wrong. But as I watched, my pulse raced faster. The tagline beneath my face read, Marisol Grant, The Untold Story. The edges of the screen flickered, and a voiceover began, resonant, cinematic. She thought he couldn't leave her behind. But when her world collapsed, she found her voice. Stay tuned. A hush fell over the crowd. Cameras popped up, phones aimed upward, capturing me in this surreal moment. People whispered, "Who is she? Why is her face there? Is this a teaser for a film?" I felt a sting behind my eyes and blinked it away. Was this a message from my husband? A cruel joke? But who would orchestrate such a spectacle? I looked around, desperate for answers. The crowd parted like waves, photographers fanned out, and security guards glanced at me uncertainly. My pulse echoed in my ears as I realized this was only the beginning. Footsteps pounded on the pavement. My best friend Leela burst through the crowd, her auburn hair aflame in the afternoon sun. "Mari, what is happening?" she cried, grabbing my arm. "Your phone won't stop ringing. News crews are calling." I shook my head, stunned. "I have no idea, Lay. I woke up alone, and now I'm on a billboard." Her eyes filled with tears, sympathy, fear, solidarity. "We'll figure this out, I promise. But first," she glanced toward the crowd, "we need to get you somewhere safe." I nodded numbly, letting her steer me toward the narrow alley behind the square. My mind raced. Did he arrange this? Was it a confession of guilt? Or was someone else pulling the strings? Questions surged like an incoming tide, and with every heartbeat, I felt both terrified and electric, as though something monumental was unfolding. We ducked behind a wrought iron gate into a silent courtyard. The noise of the square dimmed, leaving only my ragged breath. Layla took out her own phone, swapping screens with mine in a swift motion. "There's a website linked to the Billboard ad," she whispered. "They've posted a countdown. 72 hours. I stared at the digits blinking on her screen. 72 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. 72 hours, until what? The voice in my head screamed, "Until everything." I thought I knew was exposed. My fists clenched at my sides. The air smelled like wet stone and distant rain. I forced my shoulders down, trying to steady my shaking limbs. "Lay, I'm not going down without a fight," I said, voice trembling but defiant. She closed her eyes, took a breath, then opened them. fierce as a cornered lioness. Then we start now. We find the source of this, and we take control back. I swallowed and nodded. Somehow, in that silent courtyard, I felt the first spark of something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Perhaps this madness would lead to the truth, or perhaps it would shatter me completely. But I could not let it break me here, not when. The eyes of the world, quite literally, were upon me. Layla slipped an arm around my shoulders as we stepped back into the bustle of the city. My breath caught as the billboard flickered once more. My eyes locked on those illuminated words. The untold story. What untold story? And who was telling it? I squared my jaw and took a deep breath. Whatever lay ahead, I wouldn't face it. As the abandoned wife in a fairy tale gone wrong, I would rewrite the narrative. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're from. If this story moves you, please subscribe. Tomorrow, I have a special story for you. Part 2. The ride back to my flat felt like drifting through a fog. London's neon lights smeared across the cab window as I pressed my forehead against the glass, trying to find an anchor in the chaos. Layla sat next to me, her fingers flying across her phone screen, scanning social feeds, news blogs, gossip pages, anywhere my name might have sprouted like a weed. I wanted to speak, but every word tasted like betrayal on my tongue. I had been ghosted on my second anniversary by the man I'd trusted with every dream, and now I was a headline. My phone vibrated relentlessly in my purse, a constant reminder that this wasn't a nightmare I could wake up from. "Babe," Layla said gently, tapping my arm. "Look at this." She turned her phone so I could see. There it was again, my face on every trending topic, spliced with speculation. Runaway husband? Secret affair? Hidden fortune? I flinched. "There." "Vultures," I whispered, my throat raw. She put her phone down and took my hand. "Then we starve the vultures, Marisol. We tell your story before they can twist it." I squeezed her hand, grateful and terrified all at once. The cab pulled up in front of my building, our building. My gut twisted at the thought of walking back into the life I'd built with someone who'd vanished like a ghost in the fog dot inside the flat. The silence was suffocating. His keys were still in the bowl by the door. His coat hung over the back of the sofa. The faint scent of his cologne still clung to the cushions. It was as if he'd evaporated mid-breath, leaving behind a museum of us. "Check his closet," Leela urged softly. I hesitated, but my feet moved on their own. I flung open the bedroom wardrobe. Empty hangers swung like accusing fingers. His drawers bare. Even the old leather duffel he used for weekend trips was gone. "He planned this," I murmured. "He planned this for weeks, maybe months." I sat down hard on the edge of the bed. My vision blurred as I ran my hand across the duvet. 2 nights ago, he'd kissed my temple and promised he'd always be by my side. Lies, all of it. But why leave? So dramatically. Why humiliate me like this? A new thought cut through the haze. "Layla, the billboard. It's too elaborate to be random." "Someone wants me in the spotlight," she nodded. "And not in a good way. They want you on display, vulnerable, so they can control the narrative." My eyes fell on the antique jewelry box on my dresser. I opened it, half expecting to find some clue, a note, a photo, anything. Instead, I found something far stranger. A tiny slip of paper tucked beneath the velvet lining. A line of neat, blocky handwriting stared up at me. "You'll find what you're looking for at the corner of Westbourne Grove and Kensington Park Road. Midnight." Layla read it over my shoulder. "Are you kidding me? It's like a scavenger hunt." "From hell." I clenched my fists around the note. "We're going." Leela stared at me. "Mari, what if it's a trap?" "Then I walk in with my eyes open," I shot back. "If they want to expose me, I'm going to see who they are first." The clock on. The wall ticked closer to midnight. I changed into black jeans and an old denim jacket, something that wouldn't scream. Times Square billboard girl. My pulse drummed under my skin like a war beat. We slipped out into the night. London had that hush it only gets after midnight like. The city was holding its breath. The streets of Notting Hill were empty, the lamplight pooling in golden puddles across the slick pavement. When we reached the corner, I saw him, a figure leaning against the brick wall under a flickering street lamp. Hood pulled up, hands buried in the pockets of a battered leather jacket. Layla squeezed my arm. "I don't like this." "Neither do I breathed, but I stepped forward anyway. "Hey!" I called out, my voice stronger than I felt. The figure pushed off the wall and stepped into the light. My breath caught in my chest. He wasn't my husband. He was younger, leaner, with a tattoo snaking up his neck. His eyes flicked to Layla, then back to me. "Mary Saul Grant?" "Who's asking?" He pulled something from his pocket, a small flash drive, and held it out between two fingers. "You're going to want this." Layla snapped. "Who the hell are you?" He ignored her, eyes locked on mine. "You want answers? Plug this in. Everything you think you know about your husband, your marriage, your money, it's all on here." My mind spun. "Why are you helping me?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Because you're not the only one he lied to." Before I could press him for more, he melted back into the shadows. Layla lunged after him but caught only the cold night air. "What the actual hell, Mari?" she hissed. I held the flash drive like it was an explosive. "We're going to find out, tonight." Back at my flat, my laptop sat on the kitchen table like an altar. Layla hovered behind me as I plugged in the drive. My fingers hovered over the mouse, trembling. "Ready?" she asked. "No," I said, "but here we go." The screen flickered to life. Folders appeared, dozens of them, each labeled with dates. Names I didn't recognize, cryptic file names that sent chills down my spine. One folder was labeled in bold, "Mari Read First." My throat went dry. I clicked it open. A single video file waited inside. I pressed play. My husband's face filled the screen, grainy but unmistakable. He was sitting at a bar, his arm draped around a woman I'd never seen before, dark hair, sly smile. They clinked glasses and leaned in close, whispering things I couldn't hear. And then he looked straight into the camera as if he knew I'd be watching someday. He raised his glass in a mock toast. "To new beginnings," he said, his grin razor sharp. "May she never see it coming." I sucked in a ragged breath. Layla swore under hers. My world tilted on its axis. The man I'd loved had vanished, but he'd left behind a trail of secrets designed to destroy me, and I wasn't about to let him win. Part 3. My mind couldn't catch up with my pulse. It drummed in my ears, drowning out the faint hum of the fridge and the creak of the floorboards as Layla paced behind me. The grainy video still played on a loop. My husband, Ethan, raising a glass to my oblivion while a woman I'd never seen before traced lazy circles on his collarbone. Layla slammed her palm on the table. "He's a snake, Mari, a bloody snake." I flinched but said nothing. The anger in her voice didn't hurt. It tethered me to the present. I needed that. Because every cell in my body was screaming to shut down, to crawl under the duvet and pretend. None of this was real, but I couldn't. He didn't just ghost me. He'd orchestrated this disappearance, left a breadcrumb trail for the world to feast on my humiliation. And now there was this flash drive, an entire archive of what I forced my eyes back to the laptop screen. More folders, some dated years before we'd even met. Transactions, photos, copies of fake passports, blurry images of shady meetings in cafes and airport lounges. One folder was labeled BlackRock Haven. I clicked it open. Inside were scans of bank statements and offshore account registrations. "He's been siphoning money out of our joint accounts," I murmured. Look at these transfers. Every month, a few thousand here, a few thousand there. Hidden under random business expenses." Leela leaned over my shoulder, her hair brushing my cheek. What the hell is BlackRock Haven? A shell company? A safe house? I whispered, though the question was more for myself than for her. A memory flashed. Ethan always insisting he handled the taxes, the bills, the investments. You handle the art, baby. You're the dreamer, he'd say, kissing my forehead. Let me deal with the boring stuff. My stomach twisted. I clicked deeper into the folders until a new file stopped me cold. Testimony. I hovered over it then. Double-clicked. A document opened a transcript of a conversation. The header made my throat close. Interview between Ethan Grant and William Marston, private investigator. Layla sucked in a breath. He hired a pie? On you? But as I scrolled, the truth exploded like a landmine. I hadn't been the target. Ethan was the one being investigated by someone else. He'd recorded it, like an insurance policy. The transcript was full of half-sentences, corrections, fear lacing every word. WM. You know they'll come for you if they find out about the funds. E.g. They won't. She doesn't know. She's an artist, she won't dig. William. They always dig. I sat back, fingers numb. Who's they? I asked aloud. Layla tapped the desk, thinking. Could be dirty investors. Or his family didn't. You say his uncle was mixed up in some shady real estate stuff in Spain? Years ago, I murmured. But I thought that was buried. Clearly, nothing's buried. Layla's voice sharpened. Mari, you need help, real help. A lawyer, a forensic. Accountant, hell, the police. And tell them what? I snapped, a little too harshly. That my runaway husband left a breadcrumb trail in neon lights, and now I'm on the world's biggest billboard? She softened, squeezing my shoulder. Okay, one step at a time. I rubbed my temples. First step, find him. Second, figure out. Who else is in on this? Layla straightened. You know who might know? Your neighbor. The creepy one who always parks that black van outside. I laughed, a sound like glass cracking. Derek? He's harmless. Or he's spying for someone. You've watched too many crime docs. Just talk to him, she insisted. Tonight, I knew she was right. I threw on a coat and crossed the hallway barefoot, heart hammering as I knocked. On Derek's door. The sound echoed like a gunshot. The door opened a sliver. Derek peered out, eyes bleary. Marisol, it's late. I forced a smile. Sorry, I just need to ask you something. He let me in, the air inside stale with the scent of instant noodles and cheap aftershave. His flat was a cluttered nest of monitors, tangled wires, and discarded coffee mugs. I scanned the mess and felt a spark of suspicion. Derek, have you been watching me? His cheeks flushed. What? No, well maybe, not you, him. My pulse skidded. What do you mean? Derek gestured at one of the monitors. Your husband's shady. I work security gigs on the side. Saw him meeting strange people in the car park at weird hours. So yeah, I kept some footage. He clicked a folder. Open. Grainy black and white clips played, Ethan pacing by the loading bay, exchanging envelopes with men who never faced the camera. My hands trembled as I pointed at one frame. Pause, there, who's that? Derek zoomed in, enhancing the image until a familiar tattoo peeked from beneath a leather jacket. The courier from Westburn Grove. My mind reeled. So it's all connected, Ethan, the flash drive, that guy. Derek turned to me, suddenly grave. You need to get ahead of this. Before you're next. His words burrowed under my skin like ice. How do I do that? He pulled out a battered notebook, flipped through scrawled pages, and tore out a number. This is Lex. He's a fixer, cyber stuff, off-grid tracking. If anyone can find your husband, it's him. Layla's voice echoed in my head. We starve the vultures. We take control. I pocketed the number, spine straightening. Then I guess we start tomorrow. But as I stepped back into the hallway, my phone buzzed. An unknown number, one I didn't recognize. I answered on instinct. A low voice slithered through the line. Stop digging, Marisol. Or next time, it's not your face on a billboard, it's your coffin. My breath hitched. The call ended. Silence swallowed me whole. I closed my eyes, feeling the burn of tears. But when I opened them, I saw my reflection in Derek's dark window, my own eyes. Flinty and unyielding. Let them come. Part 4. The next morning, dawn bled through my curtains like a guilty secret. I hadn't slept. Instead, I sat cross-legged on the floor of my bedroom. Phone in hand, Derek's note on the floor in front of me. Lex, a fixer. A name that sounded like a threat and a promise all at once. Layla was sprawled on my bed, snoring softly. She'd insisted on staying the night, just in case the voice on the phone wasn't bluffing. The memory of that call replayed every few seconds. Stop digging, Marisol, or next time, it's your coffin. I could practically taste the venom dripping off each word. I thumbed the slip of paper again, my hands trembling. I didn't want to drag anyone else into this, but I couldn't do it alone. I needed someone who lived in the shadows Ethan used to hide in. I dialed the number. The ringtone buzzed once, twice, then clicked into silence. A voice answered, low and bored. You shouldn't have this number, Lex? I whispered, hoping Derek hadn't handed me to some random thug. Silence. Then. Who's this? Marisol Grant. Derek gave me your contact. My throat caught. I need to find my husband. He's gone underground. A dry chuckle. Underground is where people stay when they don't want to be found. Please, I said, voice cracking. He left me in the middle of our life. He's stolen from me. There's a trail of flash drive. Evidence. I don't know who else is watching, or why. Lex exhaled sharply. Send me everything you've got. Video, files, timestamps. I hesitated. How do I know I can trust you? A short, humorless laugh. You don't, but you're still calling, aren't you? He hung up. I stayed frozen, phone still pressed to my ear. Layla stirred, blinking at me with bleary eyes. Was that him? Yeah, I said softly. He wants the files. She pulled her knees to her chest, frowning. Are you sure this is safe? No, I whispered. But I'm not safe either. It took hours to zip the files, encrypt them, and send them off through a burner account Derek helped me set up. While I worked, I scrolled the news. My face was still plastered on the gossip pages. Headlines screamed, runaway husband leaves, heiress wife, and the comment sections were a battlefield, some people pitying me, others blaming me. By midday, I was too restless to sit still. I needed air. Layla insisted on coming with me. We walked to the cafe on the corner, a tiny place Ethan and I used to visit every Sunday. I hated that every cobblestone felt like a ghost of our perfect marriage. I stirred my coffee absently, watching the city bustle past. How did I miss all of this, Lay? I murmured. Was I that blind? She squeezed my wrist. You loved him. He made you trust him. That's not blindness. That's betrayal. The doorbell jingled. I looked up and my stomach dropped. A man stood just inside the cafe, scanning the room with cold, calculating eyes. He wore a dark peacoat, rain flecking his shoulders. His gaze landed on me and he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Layla stiffened. Do you know him? No, I said slowly. But something about him itched at the back of my mind, like a name I couldn't quite recall. He crossed the cafe, sat at the next table without asking. Marisol Grant, he said, voice too smooth. You're hard to reach these days. I bristled. Who are you? A friend, he said, lying as easily as breathing. Call me Keller. I represent people who'd rather you didn't poke your nose where it doesn't belong. Leela's eyes went wide. Are you threatening her? He leaned closer, smile tightening. I'm warning her. There are debts here that go way beyond your husband's little vanishing act. You're tangled up now, whether you like it or not. Debts? I scoffed. I didn't sign anything. Marriage is a contract, Marisol, he murmured. You were the pretty face, the safe bet. He made promises on your behalf. Some people want what they're owed. A sick heat crawled up my neck. Who? Keller's smile slipped. The ones watching you. Watching this conversation right now. I scanned the cafe. No cameras. But then my eyes landed on a man with earbuds, pretending to read a paper. A woman by the window, her laptop angled too conveniently in our direction. If anything happens to me, it won't. Not if you play nice, Keller said, standing. Delete what you have. Walk away, live quietly. Maybe they'll leave you alone. I wanted to scream, to claw that smug grin off his face. But my heart beat too loud in my chest. And if I don't? He tucked a business card under my coffee cup. Then you'll be headline news for all the wrong reasons. And that billboard will look like child's play. He left without another word. The door chimed behind him, the chill of the street rushing. And to settle on my skin, Layla snatched up the card. Mari, we have to go to the police. And say what? I hissed. That I have a flash drive full of half-truths and a disappearing husband? They'll bury it, or worse, leak it. She slammed her hands on the table. Then what? Just let them scare you into silence? I shook my head. No, we do the opposite. We go bigger. What does that even mean? My hands were trembling, but my voice was steady. If they want me to stay quiet, I'll make so much noise they can't touch me. They can't make me vanish if the world is watching. Layla's eyes widened. You're going public. Not just with a sob story, I said, pulse steadying with each word. I'll expose him, them, all of it. The money, the lies, the debt. And I'll make it impossible for them to take me down quietly. She stared at me, then burst out laughing. Wild, desperate sound. Okay, Bonnie, so what's the plan? I slid Keller's business card across the table. Step 1, find out who he really works for. Step 2, Lex comes through. And step 3, I leaned forward, my reflection sharp. In the cafe window. We take back my story before they bury me with it. Part 5, we left the cafe with the city vibrating around us like a live wire. Layla clutched the business card Keller had left, flipping it over and over as we weaved through the Sunday crowds on Portobello Road. My mind wasn't on the antique stalls or the street musicians. It was on Lex, on Keller, on the faceless they who thought they could script my downfall. Back at my flat, Layla locked the door behind us with extra deadbolts Derek had installed overnight. She flopped onto my sofa, still holding the card like it might combust in her palm. Marisol, you realize you just told a thug that you're going public with everything? She said, eyes wide. That billboard was just the beginning. Now you're going to poke the beast? I sank into the armchair opposite her, exhaustion and adrenaline fighting for control. It's already poked. I didn't ask for my face to be plastered over half the city. I didn't ask for threats or cryptic couriers or vanishing husbands. Her gaze softened. No, you didn't. She sighed, setting the card on the coffee table like a loaded gun. So what's next? My phone pinged an unknown number again. I snatched it up, heart in my throat. A message from Lex. Check your inbox. You have 3 hours? 3 hours? I pulled up the email. Lex had sent a single file, a map with coordinates marked in blood red. The header read, "Meet me here. Come alone." Leela's eyes widened as I showed her. Are you actually going to do it? Meet this ghost hacker fixer in some abandoned warehouse? Do I have another choice? I murmured. He's the only link I have left. Leela's lips pressed into a thin line. Then I'm coming with you. I shook my head. No, if this goes sideways, I don't want you dragged down with me. Mari, I mean it, Lay. I looked at my oldest friend, the only one who hadn't abandoned me when the world cracked open beneath my feet. Stay here. If I'm not back in 4 hours, take everything we have, Derek's videos, the flash drive, Keller's card, and go to the press. She stared at me, tears welling. I hate this. Me too. I changed into dark clothes, black jeans, my old leather boots, a battered denim jacket, something that said I'm no one to any cameras that might catch me leaving. Before I stepped out, I hugged Leela tight enough to bruise. Outside, London's sky hung low and bruised, the clouds threatening. Rain. I took the tube to Shoreditch, weaving through alleys until the address Lex had marked rose out of the fog. An abandoned printworks, windows bricked up, the paint peeling in long strips like dead skin. I pushed through a side door, the hinges whining. The air inside was cold, damp with the ghost of old ink. My footsteps echoed off concrete as I followed the dim trail of emergency lights down a corridor. My phone buzzed again, left door. Second floor, alone. My breath caught. I climbed the cracked stairwell, each step a test of courage I didn't know I had. At the top, an old office door gaped open. Inside sat a single figure, backlit by a bank of mismatched monitors flickering with maps, emails, and CCTV feeds. Lex. He wasn't what I expected. Young, maybe 30, lean, wiry, with a mess of dark hair and inked knuckles drumming on the desk. He didn't look up when I stepped in. He just gestured to the cracked plastic chair across from him. Sit. I lowered myself carefully. The air smelled of stale coffee and scorched circuits. My pulse hammered as I tried to read the screens behind him. One showed my apartment building. Another, Keller standing on a street corner, talking to someone I couldn't see. Lex finally looked at me. His eyes were sharp, glassy blue, like he'd seen too much darkness and didn't care if it stared back. You came alone, he said. Smart, you're Lex? I asked, voice tighter than I wanted. Depends who's asking. For you, yeah, I'm Lex. He leaned back, the chair creaking. I dug into your files. Your husband wasn't just a two-bit con. He was laundering money through your name for at least 3 years. Overseas accounts, fake charities, shell companies. BlackRock Haven isn't just an offshore bank. It's a safe deposit for secrets people would kill to keep buried. I swallowed. And Keller, who does he work for? Lex's lip twitched. People with deep pockets and no patience for loose ends. Ethan's disappearance was never about you. It's about the mess he left behind, your collateral. The problem is, he made you the face of it. The sweet, innocent wife who looks good in a headline. Why? Why go through all this? I whispered. Why humiliate me? Lex studied. And me for a long moment. Sometimes the best hiding place is right in the spotlight. They want you to be the distraction while they clean house behind the scenes. Meanwhile, you take the fall. I gripped the arms of my chair. Then help me. Flip the script. He barked a laugh. You think you can win this? These people don't sue you. They bury you. I don't care, I snapped. He used me, lied to me, stole everything, and now they want me to roll over? I won't. Lex's smile was almost respectful. Damn. Derek didn't lie about you. You've got fight. He leaned forward. All right, here's the deal. I can pull the rest of Ethan's digital trail emails, crypto keys, blackmail files. But once I do, there's no putting it back in the box. The minute this hits the net, you're the most dangerous pawn in the game. I'm already their target, I whispered. Then you need to decide, are you ready to burn it all down? My mouth went dry. I thought of my parents, my mother who always said I was too soft. Of Leela, who'd been my lifeline. Of Ethan's stupid smile that still haunted my dreams. Yes, I breathed. Burn it down. Lex reached for a thumb drive, slipping it into my palm. This is everything I have so far. Enough to make a few people very nervous. Take it to the right journalist, the right lawyer, blow it up. But remember, when you light the match, you don't get to choose what catches fire. I closed my fingers around it. And Ethan? Lex's eyes glittered. Already working on it. If he's hiding in some corner of the world, I'll drag him back into the light. He doesn't get to ghost you anymore. As I stepped back into the street, the wind biting at my cheeks, I felt the weight of the drive in my pocket like a promise. My phone buzzed. A message from Layla. Please tell me you're okay, I texted. Back, we're not okay. We're going to war. This story took us a long time. If you like it, subscribe. Now back to the story. Part 6. I barely slept that night. My mind wired by Lex's warning. Every creak of the floorboards made me flinch. I lay on my couch, clutching the thumb drive like a talisman. The only thing that kept me grounded was the soft sound of Layla's breathing on the other end of the sofa. She refused to leave me alone, no matter how many times I told her to go home. When dawn finally cracked open over London, I'd already made my decision. The only way out was through. If they wanted my silence, I'd give them the opposite. By 9, I was sitting across from an old contact of mine, Nadia Chun, a hungry freelance journalist whose eyes glowed with the scent of a career-making expose. We'd met years ago when I'd painted a mural at her community project fundraiser. She'd always said, "Call me if you ever have a story." This was bigger than any story she could have imagined. We met in a tiny tea house tucked behind brick lane. Nadia showed up with her recorder already running. "Marisol," she said, eyes scanning my face. "You look like hell." "Feel worse," I admitted, sliding the thumb drive across the table. "You've got one shot to get this right, Nadia. This drive has offshore accounts, fake charities, the whole scheme. But once you publish, I'm fair game. For everyone who wants this buried." She raised an eyebrow. "You sure you want to do this? Once I break it, you can't crawl back under the covers." "I'm not crawling anywhere anymore," I said. "I want every headline, every comment section, every eye on them instead of me." Nadia slipped the drive into her bag, her fingers trembling with the weight of it. "You'll need protection." "I have Lex," I said, "and Derek and Leela. That's enough." "You'll need more," she said grimly. "These people have deep pockets and old grudges." I stirred my tea absently, watching steam curl into the air, then let them come. When we left the tea house, I felt lighter and heavier all at once. A sense of dread knotted in my chest, but for the first time, the fear felt useful. Like a compass instead of a chain. Layla met me on the street corner, eyes wild. "Well, it's out of my hands now," I said. "Nadia's running with it." Leela whooped so loud people turned to stare. "Hell yes, screw them all." I almost laughed. But the moment was cut short when a dark SUV rounded the corner, crawling to a stop beside us. The window rolled down. Keller's dead-eyed smile beamed out. "Hello, Marisol," he purred. "Going somewhere?" Layla grabbed my arm. "Back off." Keller's gaze flicked to her, cold and amused. "You think this is the end? You think leaking your dirty laundry to the press saves you? This isn't a scandal, sweetheart. It's a death warrant." I forced my legs to stand firm. "I don't scare easy anymore, Keller." He leaned out the window just far enough for me to see the glint of something cold and metallic tucked in his jacket. "You should." A horn blared behind him. He glanced back, his smile fading into a sneer. "See you around, Marisol. Or maybe we won't." The SUV peeled away, tires spitting gravel at our feet. Layla spun on me. "Mari, this is serious. We can't just sit here waiting to see what they do next." "I know." My hand shook. "We need to move. Somewhere they can't find us." Leela's eyes narrowed. "You mean run?" "I mean reposition," I said, voice steadier than I felt. "They want me isolated. We're not giving them that." We packed essentials phones, chargers, backup copies of the files Lex had dug up. Derek gave me an encrypted burner laptop and a hug that lingered too long. "You're braver than you think," he said. "Don't let them forget that." We slipped out the back entrance while Lex texted updates in coded bursts. Traffic analysis shows. Keller's crew circling your block. He's tracking you. Stay ghost. We ditched our phones in a public rubbish bin and grabbed a rideshare under fake names. The driver didn't know or care who we were, just two women with backpacks, asking to be dropped at a rundown inn on the edge of Greenwich. From there, we'd disappear for a few days until Nadia's article detonated in the stale motel room. Layla dropped onto the squeaky bed, her laughter brittle with exhaustion. Look at us. Remember when our biggest secret was you lying about stealing your mom's gin in college? I sat on the carpet, knees hugged to my chest. Feels like a lifetime ago. Because it was, she said softly. For a moment, the silence stretched. The drip of the bathroom tap, the hum of a distant train, the ache in my bones from pretending I wasn't terrified. We'll be okay, I whispered. We have to be. But even as the words left my lips, a shadow moved under the doorframe, someone pacing just outside our room. My breath caught. Layla's eyes darted to mine. I pressed my finger to my lips and crept to the peephole. Keller's face filled the tiny circle, his eyes scanning, searching. I swallowed the scream that rose in my throat. We were cornered. And this time, running wouldn't be enough. Part 7. Keller's shadow slid under the door like a warning shot. Layla mouthed something. What do we do? But my mind was already sprinting ahead. We were cornered in a room that smelled of mildew and desperation. Running was useless. So, was calling the police. They'd either laugh me off as the hysterical wife or quietly hand me over. I gestured for Layla to grab the bag with Derek's backup drive. We didn't have weapons, just cheap hotel pens, a cracked hairbrush, and our heartbeat pounding so hard it felt like it would echo through the walls. A soft rap at the door. Keller's voice, muffled but unmistakable. Ladies, let's not make this messy, Layla's nails dug into my arm. I forced a breath past my lips. Bathroom, now. We slipped into the tiny bathroom, locking the flimsy door behind us. I grabbed the shower rod, yanking it down so the metal brackets snapped. It wasn't much, but it would do. The knock at the main door turned into a slow, menacing thud. Marisol, Keller sang. You should have listened. I pulled Leela behind the sink. If he gets in, run. And leave you? Not a chance, she hissed, a loud crackwood splintering. The main lock gave way. Keller's heavy footsteps moved into the room. I pictured him standing in the yellowed light, scanning for us like we were prey in a cage. Come on out, he called, his voice almost bored. You're making this harder than it has to be. My mind raced. I glanced up, then froze. An old ventilation grate above the shower. It was filthy, but big enough for a desperate crawl. I mouthed to Leela, "Help me." She cupped her hands, boosting me up until I could pop the grate free. Rust flakes rained down. I heaved myself through, ignoring the metal biting my palms. Layla scrambled up behind me just as the bathroom door rattled. Violently, Marisol, Keller barked. Last warning. Layla squeezed in beside me. The duct was pitch black, just wide enough for us to inch along on our bellies. Every clang of the tin echoed like gunfire. Below us, I heard Keller's boots thud onto the cracked tiles. His voice drifted up. Think you're clever? I'll drag you out by your pretty hair if I have to. I forced myself forward, inch by inch, ignoring the panic clawing at my chest. Behind me, Layla breathed in ragged gasps. The vent bent sharply and opened above an old linen closet at the end of the hallway. I braced my hands on the metal lip and dropped. My knees screamed on impact, but I was already yanking the door open. For Leela, she tumbled out, hair matted, eyes wild. Where now? Fire stairs. I panted. We bolted through the hall just as Keller's curse echoed behind us. Down the rusted metal stairs, 2 floors at a time. The smell of mold and cheap detergent. Made my head spin, out the back door. Into the alley. We didn't stop until our lungs burned. My mind spun with one truth. Nowhere was safe anymore. We ducked into the shadows between dumpsters, catching our breath. Layla doubled over, laughing and crying all at once. God, I hate him. I hate him so much. Join the club, I muttered. I tugged out my burner phone, hands shaking. One message from Lex. They're moving on you, I have eyes. Come to the docks. Bring everything. I showed Leela. She nodded, wiping tears with the back of her hand. He's our only shot. We cut through back streets and boarded buses in the wrong direction to throw off any tails. Every car that slowed made my heart slam into my ribs. By the time we reached the Thames docks, the sun was sinking behind a curtain of bruised clouds. Lex stood waiting beside a battered shipping container, his black hoodie up, hands buried in his pockets. He didn't look surprised to see us alive. Fancy meeting you here, he said dryly. You're late. We had company, I snapped. Lex jerked his chin at the container. Get in. Inside was a makeshift command post, monitors, cables, battery packs humming. He pointed to a grimy plastic chair. You're a bloody nightmare, Marisol, you know that. So they keep telling me, I shot back. Layla dropped the bag on his table. We almost died for this. Make it worth it. Lex's fingers flew over a keyboard. Screens flickered to live video feeds, transaction records, Ethan's face in blurred stills. He pulled up Keller's dossier, the photo so clear I wanted to punch it. Keller's not freelance, Lex said. He's ex-Intel. He's cleaning up. Loose ends for someone bigger. Bigger than who? Layla demanded. Lex spun a screen toward me. A new name blinked at the top of an encrypted chat log. Ravenhill Group. What's that? I asked. An old Black Ops PMC turned corporate security. They're not just hunting Ethan. They're burying the whole operation. And you're the biggest crack in their wall. My skin went cold. So they're coming for me next. Lex's mouth twisted into a grim smile. Unless you flip the script first. We have enough here to sink them. The trick is staying alive long enough to deliver the blow. Layla's hand found mine under the table. So what do we do? Lex tapped a new folder open. First we find Ethan. He's the thread. Pull him and the whole thing unravels. He leaned in, his eyes hard as glass. And Marisol, once you start there's no undoing it. It's you or them. I felt the burn of resolve sear through my fear. Then it's going to be them. Part 8. The container reeked of old oil and rust, but it felt like the safest place in London that night. Lex's screens bathed our faces in blue light, data cascading like rain. Layla paced the narrow space, her trainers squeaking on the metal floor. I stayed rooted in the grimy plastic chair, fingers drumming on the table, my mind ticking through every possible betrayal. Lex's eyes flicked to me. Your husband's not smart enough to disappear alone. Someone's helping him. And this Ravenhill Group, they want you out of the way so you don't unravel their entire operation. So where is Ethan? I asked. If he's so important, why hasn't Ravenhill just killed him too? Lex smirked. Because dead men don't move money. And Ethan knows where the bodies, financially speaking, are buried. Leela stopped pacing. So how do we flush him out? Lex pointed at the map projected on the container wall, a spiderweb of red dots, each one tagged with bank accounts, safe houses, offshore addresses. We poke the nest. If we freeze enough of his accounts, cut off the flow, he'll have to come crawling for his stash. I swallowed. Can we really do that? Lex cracked his knuckles. I can. But once we start, there's no more hiding. I locked eyes with Leela. Her nod was small but fierce. Do it. Lex's fingers danced over the keyboard. Code cascaded. Windows popped up and vanished. My pulse sensed with the clatter of his keys. An hour passed, maybe two. Time slipped sideways inside that metal box. Finally, Lex leaned back. Done. Ethan Grant just became the poorest rich man in the city. I forced a breath past my lips. Where? Will he go? Lex's mouth twisted into something that wasn't quite a smile. The only bolt hole left is Black Rock Haven, an estate, tiny village in the Lake District. High walls, private security, no cell signal. It's like a villain's Airbnb, Layla snorted. How do you even know this stuff? I used to work for people like Revenhill. I know where they bury the gold, Lex said, voice clipped. He turned to me. If we're doing this, we're doing it now. Once we show up, they'll know. You ready? I closed my eyes, remembering the warmth of Ethan's arms at our wedding night, the sparkle of the diamond he'd slipped onto my finger like a shackle, the lies wrapped in I love yous. The billboard, Keller's threats. Ready, I said. Lex handed me an earpiece. Your bait, Marisol. He won't run from you. He'll think he can talk you down. Play the wronged husband, but you can't blink. What about you? Leila asked. I'll be in the van, Lex said. Intercepting comms, disabling cameras, jamming signals. If things go south, run for the tree line. My hands were steady as I zipped. My jacket. Then let's go fishing. The road to Black Rock Haven was a snake of wet tarmac through ancient forest. We drove in silence, Lex's battered van rattling every time we hit a pothole. The countryside rolled past like a postcard field soaked with moonlight, hills rising like sleeping beasts. As we crested a ridge, the estate came into view. A sprawling Georgian manor, high stone walls wrapped around it like a secret. Security. Lights winked in the fog. Lex parked half a mile back under a canopy of trees. You're up, he said, voice flat. Mic check. Check, I whispered. Layla squeezed my arm from the back seat. I'll be here when you come back. I stepped into the cold, the wind biting through my jacket. Each footstep crunched on gravel. The gates loomed, old iron twisted into elegant filigree. I pressed the intercom button with numb fingers. A voice crackled to life. Name? Marisol Grant. I'm here to see my husband. A pause. Then the gate groaned open. My pulse skiter. Ed. I walked the drive like I belonged there, though every nerve screamed at me to turn and run. The house was two perfect glowing windows. Smoke curling from the chimney like it was just another country retreat. Not a fortress for a ghost. A figure waited on the steps. Tall. Familiar. Ethan. For a moment, my legs threatened to buckle. The same tousled hair. The same easy grin, so gentle it made me want to slap it off his face. Mari, he said, voice smooth as ever. God, look at you. You shouldn't have come. I forced myself to breathe. You left me. You stole everything. He spread his hands like a saint. I did it for us, for you. You weren't safe in London, Mari. You have no idea who these people are. I know more than you think, I spat. I know about Ravenhill. The accounts, Keller, the billboard. His smile faltered. You don't understand. No, I cut him off, stepping closer. You don't get to rewrite this. You ghosted me so they'd come after me instead of you. You made me the bait. His eyes flicked past me to the trees. You don't know what you're talking about. They're watching. I can still fix this, but you have to trust me. I laughed, a jagged, broken thing. I trusted you once. Look where it got me. A movement behind him, a guard shifting in the shadows. Lex's voice crackled in my ear. Two men behind the columns. Third by the carport. They're waiting for my signal. Ethan reached for me. Please, Mari, we can run. New passports. South. America, no more lies. There are always more lies, I said. Goodbye, Ethan. I stepped back. A flash of light. A pop like fireworks. Lex's voice roared in my ear. Down. I hit the gravel as the world erupted in shouts and gunfire. Layla's scream crackled through the mic. The trees lit up with muzzle flashes. My pulse was a drumbeat. I crawled for the hedge, dirt grinding into my palms. Behind me, Ethan's voice cracked like glass. Marisol, Marisol, wait. But I didn't wait. Not this time. Part 9. The night swallowed the gunfire like a secret. I crawled through the hedges, my breath ragged, gravel biting into my knees. Behind me, shouts echoed across the lawn guards barking orders, Ethan's frantic voice rising above the chaos. Marisol! Don't do this. I didn't look back. My hands trembled as I pressed the earpiece closer, desperate for Lex's voice. Lex, where are you? Static then. Keep moving. East wall. I've got eyes on you. I ducked under a stone archway, stumbling over moss-slick steps. My heart rammed against my ribs like it was trying to break free. I heard a boot scuff behind me, too close. I spun around just as a guard lunged, his gloved hand grabbing my arm. You shouldn't have come here, he hissed. I rammed my elbow into his gut. He doubled over, but his grip didn't break. Panic flared in my chest. I kicked out, catching his shin. The crack echoed. He dropped me with a roar of pain. I bolted through the trees, branches clawing at my face. Lights bobbed. In the distance, flashlights, voices slicing through the dark. Lex, I gasped. I'm in the orchard. They're behind me. 200 meters, east gate, he barked. Layla's already there. Move. I stumbled through the orchard, the smell of damp earth and rotting apples thick in my nose. My foot caught a root and I pitched forward, my palms slamming into the mud. Pain shot up my wrists, but I forced myself to crawl. Every breath a jagged blade. Then a hand wrapped around my arm, warm, steady. Mari, get up. Layla's face appeared, dirt-smudged and wild-eyed. She hauled me to my feet, half carrying me through the trees. Beyond the orchard, I saw the gate, an old iron thing hanging crooked on its hinges. We tumbled through just as Lex's van skidded to a stop in the clearing beyond. The side door flew open. Derek sat inside, his eyes wide. Go, go, go. Lex shouted. From the driver's seat, Layla shoved me inside and jumped in after me. The door slammed shut. Tires spat gravel as we lurched forward, the estate lights shrinking behind us. I pressed my forehead to the cold metal wall of the van, my breath coming in shuddering sobs. Ethan's voice still rang in my ears. Don't do this. But it was too late. I'd pulled the pin. The grenade was live. Lex glanced at me in the rearview mirror. You did good. What now? Layla asked, wiping blood from her lip. They'll come after us, won't they? Lex's fingers drummed on the wheel. They were sloppy tonight. We got more than we hoped for. He gestured at Derek, who turned his laptop around. Grainy security footage played on the screen, Ethan screaming. At the guards, Keller arguing with another man near the main gate. They're fighting each other, Lex said. They're scrambling. Ravenhill doesn't like loose ends, and your husband is the loosest end they've got. What about the files? ICROAKE. Derek tapped the keyboard. All over the darknet now. Nadia's piece hit 2 hours ago, front page. Every tabloid's running with it. Offshore accounts, the fraud, the shell companies. It's everywhere. Layla let out a shaky laugh. So that's it? We won? Lex's eyes hardened. No, now the real fight starts. Now they come for us with teeth. I sank back against the wall, exhaustion rolling through me like a wave. Part of me wanted to sleep for a week, but the rest, the raw, angry, roaring part, knew this wasn't over. Lex pulled off the main road onto a dirt path that led to a crumbling farmhouse. Safe house, he said. No power grid, no cameras. We stay here until the next move. We piled into the musty old building. Layla collapsed on the dusty sofa. Derek set up his laptop on the rickety kitchen table. Lex disappeared into another room, barking instructions into a secure phone line. I stood by the cracked window, staring at the moonlight spilling over the fields. Somewhere out there, Ethan was running out of corners to hide in. Somewhere out there, Ravenhill's shadows were sharpening their knives. My reflection in the glass looked back at me, hair matted, face streaked with mud, eyes bloodshot. But there was something new to a flinty edge I didn't recognize. I thought about the girl who'd woken up alone on her anniversary. The girl who'd been ghosted by the man she loved, humiliated in front of the world. That girl was gone. The woman standing in her place would burn down every lie Ethan had built, one match at a time. Behind me, Lex's voice cut through the dark. "They'll come at dawn. Be ready." I didn't flinch. Let them. Part 10. Dawn came in cold and gray. It seeped through the broken shutters of the farmhouse, throwing pale stripes across the splintered floorboards. I sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around a chipped mug of stale coffee. I hadn't slept. None of us had. Lex was hunched over his laptop, eyes darting between screens that glowed with maps, message threads, and security feeds from hacked traffic cameras. Derek dozed in the armchair, snoring softly, while Leela paced the hallway like a restless lioness. I turned the mug in my hands, trying to still the tremor in my fingers. Every car that passed on the dirt road made my pulse skitter. I told myself I was ready for the fight, ready for Ethan, ready for Keller and his shadows. But fear has a way of showing up when you're quiet. Lex glanced up, reading my mind. "Don't flinch now, Mari. We're too deep in." "I'm not flinching," I lied. He snorted. "Good, because they're not going to knock this time." As if summoned by his words, the old floorboards creaked under Leela's footsteps. "They're here," she hissed, peering through a slit in the shutters. 2 SUVs, black, tinted windows. Derek jolted awake, wiping drool from his chin. "What do we do?" Lex typed something fast. "We don't run." "Not anymore. They want Marisol quiet. We give them the opposite." He nodded at me. "You're up." My mouth went dry. Up for what? Lex slid a slim mic across the table. "Live stream. Secure. Bouncing off a dozen servers. Once you start talking, they can't silence you. Not without the whole world watching." Layla grabbed my shoulders. "You don't have to do this." I shook my head. "Yes, I do." I thought about that billboard. About my face flickering in Times Square. A ghost of a woman too broken to fight back. No more ghosts. Set it up. Lex connected. The feed, the mic glowed blue. "You've got 15 minutes before they breach. Make every second count." My heart slammed as I leaned into the mic. I could see my reflection in Lex's screen-dark eyes, bruised skin, resolve steeled by every lie Ethan ever told. "My name is Marisol Grant," I began. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. A year ago, I thought my life was perfect. I thought my husband loved me. I thought I was safe. Outside, I heard car doors slam, boots crunch on gravel. But he lied. He used me to hide money. He used me to protect himself. And when he couldn't control me anymore, he tried to disappear and let me take the fall. Leela peered through the shutters again. "They're circling the back." Lex adjusted the feed. Comments flooded in, lines of text racing across the screen. "We see you, Marisol. Stay strong. Expose them." This is for every woman who's ever been ghosted, humiliated, gaslit into thinking she was the problem. I said, my voice growing stronger with every word. This is for everyone who thinks they're alone. You're not. And I'm not either. A dull thud rattled the front door. Keller's voice, muffled but sharp. "Open up, Marisol." Lex hissed. "Keep talking." I swallowed. "My husband's name is Ethan Grant. He's working with a company called Ravenhill Group, a private security firm that launders money, hides secrets, and silences anyone who threatens their lies." I pushed the mic closer, leaning into the fire burning in my chest. "I won't be silenced. Even if they kill me, my story is out, and the world is watching." A crack as the front lock buckled. Derek grabbed a broken broom handle. Layla positioned herself by the hallway door, her fists balled. "Lex," I breathed. "Back it up, all of it. Send it everywhere." Lex nodded, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Already on it." The door burst open. Keller stormed in, gun drawn. "Marisol." I didn't move, didn't blink. "The world's watching," I said. "What are you going to do? Shoot me live on camera?" Keller's eyes flicked to Lex's rig, the red leave icon blinking like a heartbeat. He hesitated, just long enough. Layla sprang from the hallway, tackling him to the floor. The gun skidded under the kitchen table. Derek dove for it, slipping it into my shaking hands. I pointed it at Keller's head. My arms trembled, but my finger stayed firm on the trigger. "I should end you right here," he sneered. "You don't have it in you. Try me," I spat. Lex's voice boomed from behind me. "Marisol." "They're pulling back. Cops. News crews. Half. The city's coming. You did it." Keller's smirk faltered as sirens wailed in the distance. Layla pressed her knee into his back, grinning through tears. I lowered the gun, chest heaving. The screen in front of me exploded with Hart's messages, the world roaring its answer back at me. "We see you. We hear you." I dropped the mic, my body going limp with relief and exhaustion. The farmhouse door swung wide. Flashlights. Officers in riot gear. Nadia's voice screaming my name from behind a camera crew. Lex looked at me, eyes glassy with a rare hint of pride. "It's done, Mari." But as I sank onto the floor, heart thudding like a war drum, I knew it wasn't really done. Ethan was still out there, and I wasn't finished. Part 11. The farmhouse became a fortress overnight. Police tape flapped in the dawn wind while local officers milled about, taking statements and shooting wary glances at Lex's humming server stacks in the corner. News vans lined the dirt road, antennas stabbing the sky like accusing fingers. Cameras rolled as I was let out, Layla's arm tight around my waist to keep me standing. Nadia appeared through the crush of reporters, eyes rimmed red from lack of sleep but blazing with triumph. "You did it," she whispered as her mic clipped my collar. "Your face is everywhere. They can't touch you now." I managed a brittle smile, though inside my chest felt hollow. Keller was handcuffed in the back of a squad car, head lowered to hide from the swarm of lenses. Lex leaned against the hood of the van, arms crossed, eyes flicking between every uniform and camera like a chess master working a crowded board. One reporter lunged forward. "Marisol, do you think your husband is watching? Do you think he'll come for you now?" I met his gaze without blinking. "I know he's watching, and he should be terrified." We were moved to a safe house, this time an old decommissioned fire station on the outskirts of London. Iron shutters over the windows, reinforced doors, enough room for Lex to set up a new command center. Layla paced the wide bay that once held engines and hoses, her voice hoarse from telling off half the reporters in the city. "He's still out there," she hissed. "We got Keller, but what about Ethan? What if he runs again?" Lex cracked his knuckles over his keyboard. "He's not running this time. His accounts are locked, his enablers are getting doxxed one by one. His only option is to crawl out and cut a deal. Unless he tries to kill her first," Derek muttered from his camp chair, cradling a mug of stale instant coffee. I sat on the concrete floor, knees drawn to my chest, staring at the old fire pole that still gleamed under the harsh overhead lights. Let him try. I'm not afraid of him anymore. My phone buzzed a burner. Lex had rigged a ping whenever someone hit the site hosting my files. It was exploding with traffic. Screenshots of Ethan's fake charities, his shell companies, the Ravenhill connections. It was all out there feeding a global bonfire that couldn't be snuffed out now. And yet my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Layla crouched beside me. "You're not alone, Mari. We stick together, remember?" I nodded, the knot in my throat too tight for words. Hours passed in a haze of phone calls and coded messages. Lex stepped away only once, speaking in low growls into a secure line before barking at Derek to watch the perimeter. By nightfall, a fresh storm rolled in. The rain hammered the steel shutters like impatient fists. The empty streets outside glowed, under wet neon reflections twisting in the puddles. Then Lex's phone pinned, a single, jarring note that cut through the static hum of old radiators and the hum of the server racks. He read the message, then looked at me. "Ethan wants to meet." My heart thudded once, then twice as fast. "Where?" Lex flicked the screen toward me. "St. Dunstan's, the old church ruins, midnight." Layla swore under her breath. "A church? That's so him, dramatic and full of lies." I pushed myself up, legs trembling but steady enough. "I'm going." Lex's jaw tightened. "We go. You don't face him alone." The drive through the city felt like being ferried through a dream. Lex's van rattled over wet cobblestones, wipers squeaking against the windshield. I watched the streetlights flicker past, each one illuminating a different memory. Our wedding, our first flat, the last time Ethan held my hand before it all. Rotted underneath me. SD. Dunstan's rose from the mist like the skeleton of a cathedral, its walls eaten away by decades of rain and ivy. Floodlights lit the stone arches in ghostly yellow, the place empty but for a single figure standing at the altar of what used to be the nave. Ethan. I stepped out of the van. Layla's hand caught my sleeve. "Be careful." I met her eyes, then Lex's, then Derek's, and nodded. "I've got this." My boots crunched over broken tiles. The storm hissed through the open arches, carrying the scent of damp stone and old leaves. Ethan turned as I approached, hands in his pockets, his smile more worn now, his eyes sunken with nights spent running from the truth he'd crafted. "Marisol," he said, voice hoarse. "Look at you, the woman who killed me before I even died." I snorted. "You did that yourself." He stepped closer. "I loved you. I still do." "Stop," I said, my voice low, slicing through his lies. "You loved my name, my inheritance, my reputation. You loved the cover I gave you while you buried your dirty secrets." His jaw twitched. "You think they'll let you walk away from this? Ravenhill will bury you in an unmarked grave. You've dragged me down with you." I smiled, slow and cold. "You did that all on your own." He lunged, hands grabbing my shoulders like he could squeeze an apology out of my bones. "I can fix this. We can run." But this time, I didn't flinch. I shoved him back with every ounce of rage I'd buried under shame. His foot slipped on the slick stones. For a second, I thought he might catch himself. But the truth is, Ethan was never good at standing alone. He fell back, hitting the base of the ruined altar with a sickening thud. I heard Lex and Leela's footsteps pounding toward me as I stood frozen, breath sawing in and out. Ethan groaned, blood at the corner of his mouth. "Mari, please." I knelt beside him, my voice calm and sharp as a blade. "You took everything from me. But you don't get my fear, not anymore." Behind me, Lex's phone chimed. Nadia's face popped up on a live feed from a news studio, her voice echoing into the ruins. "We're here with breaking news. Marisol Grant's husband has just been found." I met Ethan's glassy eyes, his lips moving in silent panic as the cameras outside flared to life. He'd run out of places to hide. "Goodbye, Ethan," I whispered. Part 12. The rain that fell over St. Dunstan's that night felt like absolution. I knelt beside Ethan's crumpled form, my hair plastered to my face, breath clouding the cold air. His eyes were open but distant, like he was already drifting into whatever purgatory waits for men who build empires out of betrayal. Behind me, Layla's footsteps skidded on the wet stones. She crouched down, gripping my arm. "Mari, come on. We need to get you out of here before the press swarms in." Lex's voice barked from the earpiece, his tone razor-sharp even through the storm's hiss. Police scanners lit up. "We've got minutes." Nadias live outside with half the city watching. I stood, the weight of everything pressed down on my shoulders, but it didn't crush me like it once did. I turned my back on Ethan Grant for the final time, my boots echoing through the hollowed nave as I crossed the threshold into the storm. Outside the ruined arches, floodlights blinded me. Cameras flicked like fireflies. Reporters surged forward, shouting my name. Nadia's voice rose above them all. "Marisol, are you safe? Do you have anything to say to the world tonight?" I stepped under the glare, soaked through but unbowed. My voice trembled, but I let it. I'm not a ghost anymore. And I'm not a story you can bury. No woman is. The words rippled through the crowd. Some people cheered. Others just stood, stunned, as if they were seeing me for the first time. Layla slipped her hand into mine. Lex stood a few feet back, nodding once. Derek hovered by the van, scanning the shadows for any last desperate threat. But the storm had already done its work. The truth was out. Ethan's secrets were dead in the water. The people who'd profited from them exposed one by one. In the days that followed, the headlines were relentless. Heiress wife uncovers billion-dollar laundering ring. Ravenhill executives charged. As Marisol Grant testifies, my face flashed across every screen that had once mocked me. Strangers sent letters, flowers, emails that bloomed like wildflowers in my inbox, some from women whose lives felt too much like mine, others from people who said they'd never underestimate the quiet wife again. The court case would drag on. For months, maybe years. Ravenhill would claw and bribe and threaten, but their power slipped like sand through an open hand. They'd underestimated the one thing they couldn't control, the truth. One morning, I woke up to find the sun pouring through the window of the flat Layla and I now shared. She was snoring, tangled in blankets on the pull-out bed. Derek's snore drifted down the hall, and Lex was passed out at the kitchen table, half a slice of stale pizza hanging from his mouth. I tiptoed past them to the window. Below, the city glowed gold and new. A taxi rolled through a puddle, its tires hissing against the fresh rain. For a moment, I imagined Ethan there, standing at the corner, his smirk curling at the edges. But when I blinked, he was gone. A ghost no longer haunting me, just another lesson carved into bone. My phone buzzed, an alert from Nadia's site. Another piece dropping that day. More documents Lex had decrypted overnight. Another match to toss onto the bonfire. I closed my eyes, feeling the breath in my lungs, the thrum of life under my ribs. I thought of every night I'd laid awake wondering what I'd done wrong, how I'd failed. And I whispered to the ghost of that old life, never again. Leela's sleepy voice rose, muffled by pillows. "Mari? You okay?" I turned, a smile blooming across my face, small, fragile, but real. "Yeah, I'm good," she grinned. "We've got your back, always." Lex stirred at the table, muttering something about needing stronger coffee. Derek mumbled half-awake insults at the squeak of the kettle. We were a mess, but we were mine, my strange little family built out of ashes and betrayal and stubborn, relentless hope. I turned back to the window, the city at my feet, my story still mine to tell. And I thought about the billboard that had started it all, the bright, flickering truth that even ghosts can come back from the dead. I was never just the abandoned wife. I was never just a pretty face in someone else's lie. I was the woman who walked through the fire and came out burning brighter. And if they ever try to silence me again, let them try. 2 more great stories are next. Don't miss them. Subscribe and turn on notifications.